Hello everyone, I'm Nathan from Westwood Swug, and I will be going over the webbed block that we were unfortunately unable to cover from the last workshop. Okay, so first things first, I'm gonna look at the units. It's in inches, so I'm gonna go to Solidworks. I'm gonna check on this bottom right corner. It tells you the units. Make sure you're in IPS in inches. Next, we're gonna choose the material. I believe the material should be even though it says proof board or wax, it should be PE high density, which is polyethylene high density, I believe is a type of plastic. So I'm gonna right click on this, hit edit material. Here, I'll show you again, just to be sure. Right click, I went a little bit fast. Right click, edit material, and search for PE high density. You can always pause this video at any time if you feel confused. If you need help, always you can ask on the Discord. I'm pretty sure everyone, all the students there are willing, or all the staff there will be able to help you with your SolidWorks needs. Okay, so let's begin with this part. So what I see here is a top view and a right view. This top view is 3 inches long, 2 inches wide, 0.875 inches high. So I'm just gonna create a box on this top plane. So what I did is, sorry, I went a little bit fast there, is that I went to top plane, sketch. I'm gonna create a center rectangle on that origin. The origin is what SolidWorks is gonna define as like the center, or not necessarily the center, like the starting point of your sketch, because everything in SolidWorks is like an invisible 3D space. So that's the one reference you have other than the planes. So 3 inches by 2 inches by 2.5. You don't necessarily need to do it on the top plane. You can do it on the other planes. Yeah, you don't necessarily need to do it on the top plane. You can do it on the other planes, but I'm gonna do it on the top plane because when I look at this part, I imagine this drawing here as the top and this is the right. So next I'm gonna actually extrude this out by 0.875. So I'm gonna go to features, extrude. I'm gonna extrude off of the mid plane, which is on this drop down. I'm gonna do mid plane. You don't have to, you can extrude off. You can extrude blind, which essentially extrudes off of this plane upward, but I'm gonna extrude off of the mid plane, which is gonna be 0.875. Okay, but since that's 0.875, yeah, I'm just following this basically box, and after that we're gonna create this fancy sketch here, which is gonna be the cutout. I'm gonna click check. Okay, cool. So now I'm gonna select this top plane up here. I'm gonna create a sketch. This should make my view normal to that plane. So first things first, I see this square. I'm actually gonna recreate this square. And I'm gonna do that. Okay, I have this square here, and I'm gonna do the dimensions as 2.875 and by 1.875. And this dimension here as 1.875. Okay, cool. So now we have this outer like box that's gonna be sticking out. Next, yeah, and the outside here is this thing we're actually gonna be cutting out. Yeah, cool. All right. So since we have that, we're gonna have this box. Or this, I guess, we can create another box to line up all these holes, since all these holes seem to be lined up with each other. I can create this box using an offset entities, but I'm gonna go ahead and use a center rectangle again. It doesn't really matter, but this is how I'm gonna do it. Yeah. So, and from here, this actually dimensioned off of this previous box that we just created by 0.125, 0.125, 0.125, 0.125. Yeah, you can also do this by creating 4 lines. You can create 4 lines, horizontal and vertical of each other. which also works, but I'm gonna go ahead and create, use a box so I actually can dimension, only, I can insert 2 dimensions and it'll automatically define everything else because it's a square, or I mean rectangle, right? So if I were to measure this, and measure this is actually 0.125. Cool. Yeah. I believe that is the measure tool that is connected to a keybind, but I actually don't know what the, oh, right here, there's a measure tool. So yeah, for me, it's connected to a keybind, but yeah, you can use that to just measure stuff if it's not actually defined with the smart dimension. But yeah. All right, so now we have this box. I'm gonna make all these lines construction lines because they're not actually being cut. They're actually just used as a reference. I'm gonna make them, I'm gonna select all of them using a control left click, and I'm gonna select for construction. Cool. Okay, so that's that. Now we need to select all these circles. Looking at the symbols here, this is the diameter symbol, which is 0.125. So the circle has a diameter of 1/8, or 0.125, and it has a depth of cut of 1/8. And since this depth of cut is the same as the depth of cut as everything else, I'm just gonna put this as all in one cut extrude. So I'm gonna grab my circle tool here, click and drag, and then I'm gonna highlight this. I'm gonna click and drag. I'm gonna highlight this. I'm gonna click and drag, and once more I'm gonna highlight that, click and drag. So since actually this part is entirely symmetrical on this, I guess, like Y plane, I guess you could say, or along this axis, I'm actually gonna create these 4 holes, and I'm gonna actually create a mirror with everything else later. Okay, so I'm gonna again control left click on all these holes and make this equal, and then use the dimension tool, set this as a diameter of 1/8. Cool, everything should be set. Yep, this looks perfectly fine for me for now. Okay, next things up is that we want these construction lines at the center and this, I guess, angled line here. And I'm gonna create this center line here, and I'm gonna create this line here, and I'm gonna click escape, dimension this off of this line from 30 degrees. Cool. Yep, this line and this line 30 degrees. So whenever you see typical, that means you can assume the dimension. So this width here is 0.125. You can assume that this here is also 0.125. You can also assume this is also 0.125. Okay, so I think the next thing to do is this slot. So I'm gonna go ahead, go here, click the drop down. I'm gonna click center point straight slot. Whoops. I didn't mean to click there. I'm gonna do that again. Center point straight slot. I'm gonna select an arbitrary point here. Create it so that this, I guess, box with a line, horizontal line, that makes it a horizontal relation. I'm gonna do that. Yeah, I'm basically creating this slot here, and then I'm gonna dimension this point off of this line as 0.5, because that is what is specified in this drawing. And then I'm gonna make the width of this 0.125 because it's typical. I'm gonna grab my dimension tool, 0.125. And then I'm going to height from this line, which is lined up with all these circles, to this center line here is 0.625. So I'm gonna again dimension this, 0.625. Okay, so next thing that we're gonna do is that we're gonna select this and select this, we're actually going to create an offset entities. For you guys, some of this stuff might not be selected, but this is the selections you need. Yeah, so I'm just gonna, whoops, I did not mean to do that. Okay, undo. Oh, so I'm gonna, okay, again, select these two lines using control left click, and I'm gonna do an offset entities. I'm gonna set this as 0.125. Okay, if I set this as 0.125, this actually looks bigger than what this is, which is also defined as 0.125, because in actuality, Solidworks is actually defining 0.125 from this line to this line, which we actually want the 0.125 to be between these two lines. So we're actually going to do 0.125 divided by 2. So now the distance between here to here is 0.125, and the distance between here to here is 0.0625. Solidworks is smart where you can actually just put symbols in, and it'll actually do the math calculation for you. So that's what I just did. Okay, I'm gonna click check. All right. So then the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add these circle. So do you see this squiggly? This is actually because there's actually a circle here, and then there's a fillet on these two edges. So what I'm gonna do over here is gonna be a circle with radius 0.875, and there's, I guess, 6 circles. I guess this circle isn't really shown because the fillet is, I guess, takes off more distance. But yeah, there should be a circle here, 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 and here. So what I'm gonna do is put a circle here, here, and here. And then since we're gonna be mirroring, these two should already be defined. So again, I'm gonna take out my circle tool, left click and drag, left click and drag, left click and drag. And I'm gonna control left click all these, and I'm gonna set them as equal. Since I'm setting this as equal, they're all now gonna be the same dimension, so I don't have to dimension all these using the same like 0.125, or sorry, I don't have to define all this with the same radius as 0.1875. So I'm gonna grab my smart dimension tool, click on this, click here, and then I'm actually gonna click check for now. And then I'm gonna right click on this. Oops, sorry. Right click on the number. Interesting. What it should do is create this as a, okay, let me do the same thing again. Yeah, so what I think I just have it so that the line's inside, so I just kept the number inside and I'm just gonna drag it out. But what I'm gonna do is right click this, and then do you see the symbol? The symbol means display as radius, yep. So I'm gonna display as radius, I'm gonna define that as 0.1875 as specified in the drawing. Yeah, cool. So, yeah. Very nice. All right, so I'm gonna zoom into here. Notice how this, I guess, offset entities did not connect up with that line, which we do want it to connect. So under trim entities, I'm gonna click this drop down and click extend entities. So what I'm gonna do is left click here, or I'm gonna select this and left click this, what entity is the line, left click and it'll extend it all the way to the next entity, or I guess this construction line. Cool. And since this is sticking like outside of what where I'm gonna actually go ahead, grab the trim entities tool, click and drag like a scissor. I'm gonna cut that off, and yeah, or technically under trim entities is technically called power trim. There's a bunch of other options, but I'm just gonna call it trim entities. But yeah, so that's that. And also we have to do the same thing. We have to do the same thing here, because this is also sticking out, which we don't want. Generally, when you do a trim entity, you start from the outside, then you make yourself. You start on the outside, and then you do the trim entities until outside in, right? So that's just the general rule of thumb. Because if I actually trim entities from the inside out, it might not work. Sometimes, in that case, it did work, but sometimes it doesn't work. Because SolidWorks will freak out like that. But yeah, so this is what I'm gonna define for, this is what I'm gonna trim for now. Oh, actually, I'm gonna trim this circle. Yep, I'm gonna trim the outside of this circle, again, doing outside in. So now we have that inner radius. Cut this out. Cut this out. Whoops. And then I'm gonna actually cut out these lines because they're not necessary. Cool, so now this sketch is actually looking more and more like that drawing. So next we actually just need to connect up all these lines at these corners. So I'm gonna grab the line tool and just go ahead and do that. By clicking all these points. Ooh, all right. Now, next I'm gonna add the fillets. So the fillets are here, 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 and here. Again, it's typical, so you can assume it has a radius of 0.125. So I'm gonna grab my fillet tool. I'm gonna click on this edge. Solidworks will most likely scream at you because there might be some issues with the equidistant, but I'm just gonna click yes to that. I'm gonna select all these points. Okay, 1 second. Ooh. Okay, also, this is one of the reasons why this the sketch fillet is not the greatest tool, because sometimes it doesn't want to because it's kind of a little bit fidgety, because in Sketch it's a little bit fidgety. Generally, I like to put the fillets on a feature. I might just do that since I'm having issues placing this fillet here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and also I may need to put a fillet here at this point. I might actually, okay, never mind. I'm gonna do a trim entities here. See if that, I don't think that will break anything. So I can actually have these points where I can put the fillet on. Cool. Okay, let's try this again. Yeah, I think SolidWorks is not liking me put the fillet there, so I'm actually gonna make that a feature. But I think that it will work on this bottom triangle. So I'm gonna show you, I guess, both ways of how to do a fillet. So here I'm just gonna put a fillet on this bottom. Use a sketch fillet to put these rounded corners on this triangle. Yes, yes. Yeah, and I'm gonna set this as 0.125 as specified in the drawing. This is the radius symbol, so make sure you have this as the correct number. This is 0.125 in the radius. Again, typical, so you can assume all these radiuses are 0.125. Cool. Yep, that looks fine to me. I'm gonna click check. Click check. There you go. So now that's looking very similar to what this bottom left corner is. So the next thing I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna, whoops, fit. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is select all these lines. I didn't realize I was in the fillet, so I just click escape to escape that. So I'm gonna left click all these lines, the fillets, this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing. I'm holding control as I'm selecting all these lines. Whoops. Oh. Okay. Can I not select the entirety of this? Okay. I'm gonna have to do that again. Okay, so I'm gonna select all these lines. It might create an issue since this line is actually, I may have to do a power trim so I can get this to be mirrored properly. But yeah, we'll see. But I'm gonna do a mirror entities. So all those are selected, and that's what I want to mirror. Actually, I have more stuff to mirror. I have to mirror this. Hello, okay. Okay, interesting. This may create an issue where, since the mirror is also on top of each other, it may not allow me to cut. But I'm gonna try anyway and see what happens. If not, then I'll do a cut, then a mirror, instead of a mirror, then a cut. If that makes sense. Okay, I think everything is gonna be mirrored. Actually, I don't necessarily need to select this because it's already kind of mirrored. Okay, correction. I'm gonna delete that slot. So what I just did there is select slot and left clicked and delete it from this like tree of entities that I've selected. Everything looks almost right except here. There's no curve here, so I'm gonna see if I can select that. There you go. Cool. I believe everything here should be fine. It looks correct in my eyes. Click check. And it's gonna be overdefined. Okay. So I believe the issue of it being overdefined is this thing. I think it's because we have two lines intersecting each other, so I think it's freaking out about that. So this is also like the issue with mirroring in sketches because you might have some overlap in some stuff. Again, going from outside in, I'm gonna omit that. Oh, interesting. Okay, so since this line isn't, since I cut off this, I guess, yeah, this is the issue with, I guess, trim entity sometimes. So now this is a blue line, now that I can move this around. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go here and click extend entities, and extend that all the way there. Cool. And again, I'm gonna do the same thing, mirror entities, and I'm gonna select all the things I want to mirror. So this line, this line, this line, whoops, this line, all these lines that I want to mirror. Okay, and I'm gonna mirror about this axis. Everything looks correct to me. So I'm gonna check. Ugh, something is overdefined, and Solidworks is not liking that. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna actually delete these lines because I have a feeling that this line is like being mirrored onto this line, which again, it doesn't like. So I'm just gonna delete that part of the offset. And I'm gonna go ahead and try that again. Oh, what I did is click the area because it's highlighted, so it's like all the points for me. Yeah, this is what's finicky about mirrors. Let's see if I can get this correct. Okay, is it third or fourth time's the charm? There you go, perfect. Okay, so now we have all the mirrors, and this is a lot of relations. But yeah, this part looks almost exactly like this part, almost. Whoops, that is OBS. Okay, yeah, this part looks very similar to what this part is on the sketch. It's just that on this part we don't have the fillets because I think the fillets are just being weird in SolidWorks and I can't add a fillet on this corner here. But I'm gonna actually go ahead and do a feature. I'm gonna do an extrude cut. And I'm gonna select the things I wanna cut, which is this, this, and this. And I'm actually gonna cut blind because I want to go into the part, and it's gonna be 0.125. Oh, and then I'll make myself normal to the plane. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna select. Oh, I forgot to mirror the circles. Whoops. Okay, scrap that. I need to mirror the circles. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna. Okay. Oh. Okay. I'm gonna normal to this plane. Yeah. Change my view. Okay, I forgot to mirror these two circles because I don't have the circles on this side. So again, I'm just gonna go here, mirror entities. I'm just gonna select this circle, and then I'm just gonna mirror about this axis. Now, okay, now that part, okay, now it looks even more similar to what I had before. I definitely missed that. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to features, cut extrude. I believe, yeah, this should be 0.125. And I'm gonna select the contour. So this is the areas that I want to cut out, which is these holes. Notice how it ignores all the construction lines because the actual black line, like solid black line, is what's actually going to be defining the cut. Oh, whoa, what happened there? Okay, I don't know where the part went, but yeah. So this is going to be the cutout that I want. So I'm going to go ahead and click check. Oh, and then I accidentally extruded off the midplane. This should be blind. I'm sorry, because if you view it at an angle, because if I did mid-plane, then actually extrudes off of, I guess, the middle of the plane, but we want it blind because we're extruding downward into the thing, or into this block. So I'm gonna go ahead and click check. It's gonna do all my cuts for me. Cool, now it's really looking like the part. The last thing I'm gonna do, unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it into one part. I'm gonna actually use a fillet, or the fillet feature, instead of the fillet sketch, and create a fillet on these corners. If I select this corner, and I left click there, and then so after I left click, this prompt shows up. And since SolidWorks is kind of smart, I'm gonna connect all the 7. I'm gonna select this, and it's gonna do the fillets for me, so I don't have to manually click everything else. I'm gonna do that. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Yep, perfect. And then I'm gonna have this as 0.125. As radius here. That looks perfectly fine to me. I'm gonna click check. And now I'm gonna do a normal view to, if I can, normal to, so right click and then there's a normal to. So if I, whoops, come on, normal to. There you go. This part looks pretty similar to what this part is. And I believe that we should be done here. So I believe in my answer key, the weight of this should be 0.164. Go to mass properties, and perfect, 0.164 pounds. So this part is exactly what is specified in the drawing, dimension wise. So very nice. So now we have our part. Congratulations, we're done with creating the webbed block. So this will probably be the conclusion of this video. If you have any questions, again, ask on the Discord. I may have went a little bit fast here because again, it's a video, and I have personal keybinds. If I accidentally skipped over anything, please let us know in the Discord. Let me know if there's anything I need to improve or in explaining anything. But yeah, just let us know if you have any questions. We'll be happy to help you. Yeah, remember, yeah. And I believe this is it for the WEBBED block. See you guys next time in the next workshop or video or whatever. Yeah, and I'm signing off. See ya.